All right, people, I'm back. This is another music video. And then later today, we'll do another sex talk episode because I know you guys have been dying for it. But this video today is going to be Image Dragons versus Maroon 5. Now, these are two groups that kind of, are very similar in every aspect. You listen to their songs, you hear their music, and a lot of people seem to like these guys, these rock stars. So, yeah, this is like episode 3, so we're going to get into it. Now, Image Dragons is a rock band that started in late 2007, early 2008. They had already done an album, but that album went unnoticed and nobody really cared. They were being compared to all the rock bands, and a lot of people thought they were just a ripoff of what came in the 1990s and the 80s. And they were determined to prove people wrong. So their lead singer, whose name is Dan Reynolds, he took it upon himself to take half his money and finance his own money into the rock band. And then he wrote maybe 5, if not all their songs. He wrote at least a vast majority of those songs. So he ended up becoming a songwriter. He became the lead guitar, and then he had to recruit people. So he did with his own money, because at the time he had a studio's backing him. But in these type of situations, studios tell you no one minute, they say yes the next minute. And for like 4 years, he was getting frustrated because he had done this first album and no one really wanted to take notice of it. And then when he started writing some more songs, he started to get some ideas, and then he repackaged it. And then right in the middle of them trying to get that first album recognized, which finally, after 4 years of hell, he finally got noticed, and he had a group of guys. And then finally they popped out a song, I think towards the end of 2008 going to 2009. But it wasn't until maybe almost 2 years after they had done that song that it got into television shows and movies, and everyone began to start to warm up to these guys. Radioactive, radioactive, welcome to the new age, welcome to the new age, radioactive, radioactive. Once that song came out, they pitched it with Assassin's Creed. Remember Assassin's Creed 3, where you see Homeboy coming in slashing through everybody? It started to get into video games. Someone put it on Halo, Assassin's Creed, and it became such a big hit that by the time we got to 2012, 2013, that song was being played everywhere. Television, film, commercials, video games, anime, you name it, that song was just everywhere. A smash hit. Woo! And all of a sudden, these guys got interviewed, and for like almost 6 or 7 weeks on the music countdown, they would just play the hell out of that song. In fact, there would be attempts from other people to try to take that song and remake it because they love the sound so much that they ended up being shocked that people were trying to imitate their song because it was a smash hit. Went over platinum, double platinum overnight when they done that. And these guys are from right here in Los Angeles, California, not from California, but they were originally in Las Vegas, and then they migrated here to California. So they're from Las Vegas and they live in Las Vegas, but when you become a rock star, your ass live everywhere. So they made it big. And in fact, they became one of the few rock bands to be at a reward ceremony and get either not an Oscar, but nominated for either an Academy Award or a Golden Globe. And it's usually hard to do that when you just got into the game. Usually it's not until 5 or 10 years into your career that you're able to do that. He got recognized as a lead singer, but there were past members that didn't get their chance to get recognized for their talent. So, you see what type of, that initially. And then, of course, they had another song, which they did the video to the, to the song. They brought in Luke Diamond Phillips, that's an actor, and used teddy bears. And again, this shows his creativity, the songwriter being unpredictable. And when you hear the video of the song, you're like, damn, it's even damn better. Then, of course, they did their second song, which wasn't good as the first one. And then he did a third song, which was for a movie. And then they ended up dropping their second album, where he did a song called Thunder. And then he did his newest song. So the hits are coming. These guys are come out the box fast and swinging and ready to prove all people wrong. And the minute I heard their song, I immediately was instantly hooked. Like, that was the first time I actually liked it, some pop rock, and was like, it's not as bad as I think it is. I mean, these guys I kept up with. Every time a song dropped, I go on YouTube, I punch that bad boy in, and I start listening to it. In fact, their Welcome to the New Age became my motivation for going to the gym, getting in athletic shape, talking to girls, saving money, getting the job. That song became my motivation. Ever since they did it with Assassin's Creed, that became my motivation, thanks to them. Now they're currently doing their second album and right in the middle of doing album number 3. Since we're now in the 2019, you can say they've popped out 3 to 4 albums at this point. So they're probably doing either their third album or their fourth album and possibly setting themselves up in the future for album number 5. So these guys have been around for at least 8 or 9 years or close to 10 years. They've been pretty much around at this point. Well, if it ain't 10, close to 10. So that's the history on this group. And the hits just keep coming. Every time somebody plays video games, they always go back to that one song. Every time somebody thinks of Assassin's Creed, Halo, or an anime, they always think of Welcome to the New Age. You see a t-shirt, you think of Welcome to the New Age Radioactive. Because these guys were doing the things that they were doing at the time. Now, let's get to the history of Maroon 5. Now, Maroon 5 is a group that kind of popped up right in the middle of the 1990s. They put out 2 albums, and like Eminem, nobody listened to their first album. Their first album was good, but it wasn't good enough to get on the air. Their second album got them on the air and got them recognized, but nobody really quite knew what to make of these guys. These guys were around for years, but nobody really signed them. They were just popping up at parties and weddings and popping up anywhere they can at a club to try to convince people they're going to be around for a long time. But nobody really quite took these guys serious. And it wasn't until 95, 96 that they got signed. And then by 97, these guys ended up doing a soundtrack, which their music was so good on a soundtrack that a company said, you know what, just sign them to a deal already. Put these guys out there. And by 99, 2000, they did their first song, which surprised everyone. It was good. But it wasn't until like 2003 or 2004 that they really came out the gate. And then by that time, they had already now done album number 3. And I didn't really listen to these guys in the very beginning. I saw them, but I didn't really listen to them yet until much later when the lead singer Adam Levine did that. Is it animals, animals, animals? Oh, oh. So you should know that he did that song. Then he came out with another song where he in the ring boxing, and then he did that other song where he's talking about something that's very controversial. And then he does that song with Nicki Minaj. And ever since he done Animals, I've started listening to Maroon 5 permanently. Should have been listening to these guys in the first place, but I didn't listen to them for the first 6 years. It was until we got to 2008, 2009, 2010. Then I started listening to these guys. So, lesson learned, when a rock band comes around, it's better to listen to them from the very beginning and not wait until 6 or 7 years later, because then people will accuse you of being what they call a music poser. So, yeah, there's that. Now, to answer the question, who's better overall? Now, in almost 12 years, Maroon 5 has managed to do what only a few rock bands have managed to do. That is, keep their sound the same. Now it's changed 5 times in a 10 to 12 year period, but they've managed to return it back to its original sound. And they've managed to stay relevant for this long and keep coming with hits because they're from Los Angeles, California. Surprise, surprise, we do have like at least almost 20, if not 50 rock bands that are here from Los Angeles, California. And these guys have managed to take the world by storm and still prove that no matter what happens, they're going to still be here for the long haul. Now, Image Dragons is a group that's come into their own. They got everyone's attention as of right now. But like most rock bands that have your attention right now, you can never tell if they're going to get any better or if they're going to go to the next level or if they're just going to end up like some of these other rock bands that they're here and then you don't hear them no more. So we really honestly don't know. They're kind of on the verge of being on the same level, and it draws comparisons. Both groups like to tell stories. Both groups are unpredictable. Both groups will get in your face and do some things that you don't expect. But by the end of the day, you can only choose one who's really overall good. Now, talent-wise, if we're going off of talent, the lead singer from Image Dragons, he's a songwriter. The first 4 years, he kind of struggled to kind of get his name out there. Whereas Adam Levine, he kind of was always a star that went from a star to a superstar. And then he broke away from the group temporarily and put out maybe 1 to 2 solo albums by himself. And then later started writing some of his own songs. So you could tell that one guy has had to always write his own music to get noticed. And then another group where you got the star, where he was always a star that became a superstar, who later wrote some of his own music. So you see the similarities, but at the same time, you see the different pathways, the different differences. Well, by a slight little edge, by a little slight margin, neither one of these groups are legends, because they got the order for you to be considered a legend. You got to be past 10 years. You got to be up to 15, maybe past 20 to be considered a legend. So if you don't make it to 10 years, you don't make it to the 10-year mark and get past 15 to 20, then you're not a legend. So neither one of these groups are legends yet. Now, I say by the time we get to the year 2030, both these groups will probably be considered legends. Maroon 5 a lot faster and quicker than Image Dragons, but by a slight edge. And I know some people are going to look at this video and say, you're doing this out of favoritism. Well, I said talent-wise, by a slight little margin, by a slight edge, I got to give it to Image Dragons. I mean, because if you write your own songs from the very beginning, from the very jump, and you really worked your butt off, compared to you were always a superstar, a star, then a superstar, and then you break away and get your own solo songs, and then you start songwriting, then that's good, and that's a talent in itself, but you can't deny that this guy really had to start from nothing and then get to where he is today. That's a few people are only good at doing that. So until next time, peace.